Before we begin, I thought it would be fun if everyone lets me know in the comments where they're watching this video from. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's start today's episode. Black-eyed people, or black-eyed children, are often described as young individuals with completely black eyes. Those who encounter them typically report an overwhelming sense of unease, sensing that the children are somehow unnatural and potentially dangerous, though they can't pinpoint why. These children are often seen in desolate areas, engaging in activities like playing games or singing nursery rhymes. In some reports, they appear on doorsteps, usually in pairs or alone, adding to the eerie and mysterious nature of their presence. They appear to be unusually confident, often using the mannerisms and speech patterns of an adult. They occasionally even possess the voice of an adult. They will usually attempt to talk the victim into allowing them entry into their home to use a telephone or to be safe from some danger. Occasionally, when seen outside the home, they will immediately stop their play and stare at you, or if possible approach you asking for a place to stay or trying to talk you into giving them a ride home. One of the earliest recorded sightings of a black-eyed child was back in 1950. A 16-year-old named Harold was strolling up the street to his Virginia home when he noticed a boy leaning on a nearby fence. Harold was a bit startled. He paused and said hello, but received no response. He turned to leave. Then the mysterious boy finally spoke. "I want to go to your house. You're going to walk me up to your house." That was when Harold noticed the boy's eyes. They were pitch black. All his instincts screamed run, yet he just stood there. Then, as if reading Harold's mind, the boy said, "Now don't you run away from me. You're going to walk me to your house." That was enough to spring Harold into action. He ran as fast as he could away from the child. He claimed he heard the child let out a scream of a bobcat, but he wasn't willing to turn around to be sure. The account goes on to reveal Harold's parents actually believe his tale, and his father went out to try and find the child. The black-eyed child was gone, but Howard's mother took him to a local priest to be sure her son would remain safe. On her way home, one afternoon from college in North Carolina, Carrie Kistner took a detour and stopped at the Triangle Town Center Mall. After visiting the mall, she made her way back to a car in the parking lot. As she did so, she noticed a strange, almost sick-looking boy of an older lady. The boy looked pale with dark rings around his eyes, and he appeared to have a rigid and unnatural posture. The old lady appeared to be searching in a purse for something to give to the young boy, whom Carrie estimated to be around 12 years old. Carrie suddenly became aware there were very few people around, and the place seemed to take on an almost sinister feel. She quickened her pace to reach her vehicle, but as she passed the pair, the young boy locked eyes of her. Carrie couldn't help but stare back. The boy's eyes were completely black. She moved away as quickly as she could, while the boy suddenly turned and walked away from the scene, not wanting to receive whatever the old lady was searching in her purse for. Carrie stated that she had the strange impression that while she was staring at the child, he could read her mind and knew what she was thinking about him. In September 2014, tabloid newspaper, The Daily Star, ran several stories of a black-eyed girl who was terrorizing the area of Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, England. A local woman had suddenly heard a terrifying scream, which she believed to be a child in danger. She ran in search of the child, and after initially not seeing anyone, she noticed that a girl dressed in white stood behind her. She stated that the young girl had her hands over her eyes and was silent. The woman, who also had her young daughter with her, asked if the strange girl was okay, which seemed to prompt her to take her hands from her face and open her eyes. That's when she realized the girl's eyes were completely black. The story of the black-eyed children continues to intrigue many. Some believe they may be supernatural entities or even manifestations of otherworldly forces. Others think they could be an urban legend, born from fear or fascination with the unknown. The video from Cannock Chase adds to the mystery, as the figure in white captured on the drone footage aligns with the eerie descriptions of these children. Could they be spirits, extraterrestrial beings, or something entirely different? The lack of concrete evidence leaves room for speculation, but their unsettling presence continues to spark curiosity and fear. What do you think? Are they just a strange phenomenon, or is there something more to their story? If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. Moving on, to the next mystery. The discovery of giant skeletons in the United States has sparked widespread fascination, with reports spanning over 2 centuries. These accounts describe individuals who were at least 7 feet tall, with some even surpassing that height. Skeletal remains, often attributed to ancient civilizations, have been found across the country, from coast to coast. Among the anomalies mentioned are skulls with elongated shapes, unusual teeth, and jawbones significantly larger than those of modern humans. Despite the large amount of documentation surrounding these discoveries, skepticism remains about their authenticity, with some believing these findings might be exaggerated or misinterpreted. Regardless, the tales of giant skeletons continue to fuel the debate about a hidden chapter in human history. During the 1800s, it was reported that enormous skeletal remains were found in the burial mounds of North America. According to the reports, the skeletons were described as having a length of 7 to 8 feet, while some purported discoveries reaching 9 to 11 feet. Additionally, these skeletons were noted to have enormous skulls and lower jawbones. Early records from local historians frequently documented these remains, as evident in the following excerpt from Cass County, Michigan. Dr. Bonini had discovered a 13 feet high mound with a diameter of the base approximately 50 feet and unusual skeletons. According to Dr. Bonini, one of the male skeletons, currently in his possession, had a well-preserved large femur, which indicates that the owner was likely 7 feet tall or more. Antiquarian scholars have documented the anthropology of ancient tall people found in prehistoric mounds. An article from the American Antiquarian, Volume 2, Number 1, provides an account from Chillicothe, Illinois. It is a commonly known fact that during the 19th, early 20th centuries, newspapers would often report on the discovery of large-scale skeletons found across the United States. An article from the News Herald on January 3, 1895, based in Portsmouth, Ohio, is a prime example of this trend. It's reported that bridge carpenters discovered an enormous skeleton while conducting excavation work. The finding occurred near Portsmouth, about 3 miles east of the area. The skeleton measured an astounding 7 feet and 4 inches in size. During the 1880s, the Eastern Mound Division of the Smithsonian Institute found many huge skeletons while destroying Native American burial mounds in North America. The Bureau of Ethnology's 12th annual report provides evidence of various large skeletons that were discovered by Smithsonian agents. Near the original surface of the mound, lying at full length upon its back, was one of the largest skeletons discovered by the Bureau agents. The length is proved by actual measurement, being between 7–8 feet. Located at the heart of Mound 11 and buried approximately 3 feet deep is a vault measuring 8 feet in length and 3 feet in width. Within this vault was discovered a complete human skeleton measuring an impressive 7 feet in length. This particular specimen's height was determined to be roughly 7.5 feet when it was alive. Researchers arrived at this estimation based on the measurement distance between the skull base and toe bones, which came out to be about 7 feet 3 inches. During the 1900s, archaeologists took a renewed interest in ancient giants. With the help of Charles Snow, William S. Webb from the University of Kentucky was able to confirm that the distinct skeletal characteristics observed by previous sources belonged to the Adena mound-building culture. Webb and Snow's study of Adena's anthropology was documented in 2 volumes of the Adena people. The first volume was published in 1945, and the second was co-written with Raymond S. Beebe and published in 1957. The forehead is typically highly noticeable and is situated beneath quite prominent brow ridges. The size of the jawbone's distinctive bulge is moderately projected. Generally, cheekbones are both large and noticeably prominent, extending forward and to the side. This information comes from a publication by Webb, Snow, and Beebe in 1957. Webb, Snow, and Beebe's analysis of the giant skeletons also highlighted a distinct bony chin structure, featuring bilateral prominences and a wide chin. This observation was part of the ongoing study into the existence of giant human remains. The Maryland Science Center, originally known as the Maryland Academy of Sciences, has a long history dating back to 1797. In 1897, the Academy was reported to have possession of several skeletons from a lost Native American tribe of giants. These skeletons were not as tall as some of the larger reports of giant discoveries, but they still featured individuals reaching around 7 feet in height. The Academy's collection of these remains led to claims that an entire tribe of unusually tall Native Americans may have once existed, though this has remained a controversial and debated topic in both historical and scientific circles. Moving on to the next mystery. The Pyramids of Giza remain one of the greatest mysteries of ancient history. Once part of the 7 wonders of the world, the Great Pyramids continue to intrigue people due to the unanswered questions surrounding their construction, purpose, and origin. Despite centuries of research, many aspects of the pyramids remain unexplained. The Great Pyramid is made up of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, with weights ranging from several pounds to as much as 80 tons. The methods used to transport and position these massive stones, especially without the advanced technology available today, continue to be a subject of debate and speculation among historians and archaeologists. The total weight of the pyramid is estimated to be around 6,500,000 tons. The discovery of a swivel door. Researchers have used a number of modern-day technological breakthroughs to better understand a number of nearly impossible-to-detect anomalies surrounding the Great Pyramids at Giza and believe they have found evidence of a new find that connects the pyramids to that of older Egyptian pharaohs, Sneferu and Huni. According to the work of Zahi Hawass, Egyptologists were attempting to clean out a large portion of the natural buildup of dust all along the hallways of the pyramid, and so worked alongside a number of robotics manufacturers in an attempt to establish and construct large fans throughout the pyramid that would help aerate the area and suck out a large portion of the dust throughout the pyramid's halls and rooms. This led to the research team deploying a number of experimental robotic devices that journeyed all throughout the Great Pyramid of Giza and discovered a number of impossible-to-explain anomalies across tiny shafts that were discovered all throughout a number of chambers and passageways. When the small robotic device went into the shafts, it discovered tiny doors that would have been impossible for any person to have opened or used, and yet, there they were. Interestingly enough, researchers recounted original stories in which grave robbers detailed a story that the pyramids of Giza held a large hidden swivel door that was balanced so perfectly that it could be opened only from the inside with a small push. However, once outside, the swivel door closed to such a perfect and precise size that it would be nearly impossible to see from the outside. Though evidence of the large swivel door has yet to surface, the new finds from the small robotic discoveries leads researchers to believe that it might very well be true that there are even more hidden chambers surrounding the structure that could hold a number of hidden doors into even more hidden passageways. Unfortunately, the Egyptian government holds so many regulations surrounding the massive structure that the researchers attempting to better understand where these hidden chambers might lay first need approval from the government to begin any testing, forcing researchers to first know where the hidden doors are before beginning their search for them. Many are unaware that they can tell time. The Great Pyramid of Giza has been found to have astronomical alignments and could be used to tell time with a high degree of accuracy. The pyramid is aligned in such a way that its 4 faces are precisely oriented to the cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west. This pyramid are also aligned with astronomical features, such as the positions of certain stars and constellations. For example, the narrow passage known as the air shaft in the king's chamber points directly to the star Sirius, which was an important star in ancient Egyptian religion and culture. The Great Pyramid also contains a number of mathematical and geometric features that suggest the ancient Egyptians had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy and timekeeping. For example, the pyramid's height and base length are in a ratio that closely approximates the value of pi, a mathematical constant that describes the relationship between the circumference and diameter of a circle. While the Great Pyramid was not designed specifically as a timekeeping device, it is clear that the ancient Egyptians who built it had a deep understanding of astronomy and the movement of celestial bodies, and that they may have used the pyramid to track the passage of time and the seasons. The unexplained heat anomalies. One of the strangest mysteries surrounding the pyramids that researchers are facing in the modern day has to be that of the impossible-to-explain heat anomalies that seem to pocket all across the pyramid in varying degrees that seem to not make any logical sense. Discovered back in November of 2015, researchers used a number of technological devices, including thermal imaging devices, that scanned all around the Great Pyramids of Giza in an attempt to uncover even more secrets of the structure. It appears that these experiments succeeded as the researchers found pockets of areas that heated or cooled at different rates than other areas. The current working theory is that these pockets of heat are caused by secret passages and hidden chambers. This is due to the fact that pockets filled with air will hold and trap in more heat than if the area was completely filled with a solid rock. The research team noted that there was a particularly impressive anomaly located on the eastern side of the Khufu pyramid at the ground level. Given the enormous size of the Khufu pyramid and the strange heat anomalies detected within, some researchers speculate that there may be a hidden passageway leading down into the ground beneath the pyramid, possibly revealing an undiscovered chamber or level. However, attempts to explore these potential hidden areas are hindered by strict regulations that prevent any excavation methods that could damage the pyramid structure. As a result, these heat anomalies continue to be a mysterious aspect of the pyramid, with no clear explanation or access to the hidden depths below the ancient monument. Moving on to the next mystery. A Pew Research Center study conducted in 2010 found that around 84% of the global population identified with a religious group, encompassing major religious traditions like Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and others. In biblical literature, there's one entity that's more chilling than Satan, and that's God's right-hand man. Abaddon is a term that carries significant symbolic meaning and represents various concepts. The term itself originates from Hebrew and is often associated with destruction and ruin. Throughout different religious texts, Abaddon is mentioned in different contexts, offering insights into its symbolism and interpretation. In the Hebrew Bible, Abaddon is mentioned in the book of Job and the book of Proverbs. In the New Testament, the book of Revelation mentions Abaddon as the angel of the bottomless pit or the angel of the abyss. In this context, Abaddon is associated with a destructive force and serves as a personification of evil or a ruler over demons. The imagery of the abyss and its association with Abaddon reflects the idea of a chaotic and destructive power that opposes divine order and righteousness. Among the intimidating figures presented in the biblical book of Revelation, Abaddon is regarded as one of the most ominous. This malevolent entity aptly embodies its name, denoting ruin and devastation. In the culmination of history, it emerges as one of Satan's commanding officers, a fallen angel in charge of the abyss. Together with its subjects, an army of supernatural beings capable of inflicting severe suffering on humanity, Abaddon initiates the fifth round of trumpet judgments illustrated in the apocalyptic vision of John the Apostle. Abaddon is mentioned 5 times in the Old Testament. According to some biblical scholars who are knowledgeable in the field, there are references in the New Testament that indirectly mention Abaddon's location without explicitly naming it. Unlike Sheol, where unrepentant people are said to go after passing on to the other side, Abaddon is believed to be a distinct realm where fallen angels are imprisoned until the time appointed by God for their judgment. Despite the fact that Abaddon and his followers cause unimaginable suffering to those who aren't saved during this time, the will of God prevails, and humanity will not be entirely eradicated. The function and authority of this fallen angel, as well as all other entities of hell, are determined and sanctioned by God himself, ultimately subject to his supreme will. The symbolic significance of Abaddon extends beyond its literal interpretation. It is often seen as a representation of the forces of evil, chaos, and destruction that can be present within the human experience. It serves as a reminder of the potential consequences of straying from a path of righteousness and succumbing to the temptations of darkness. Furthermore, Abaddon can be seen as a metaphor for inner struggles and challenges faced by individuals. It represents the internal battles between good and evil, order and chaos, and the constant need for self-reflection and self-discipline. The mention of Abaddon in religious texts encourages believers to remain steadfast in their faith and to resist the temptations and destructive forces that can lead them astray. The interpretation of Abaddon is not limited to religious contexts, but has also found its place in literature, art, and popular culture. In various works, Abaddon is depicted as a powerful entity, often associated with darkness, chaos, and the struggle between good and evil. These interpretations draw inspiration from the biblical references to Abaddon, using its symbolism to explore deeper themes and narratives. In biblical literature, demons are supernatural beings often associated with evil, temptation, and spiritual corruption. While the concept of demons has evolved throughout history, their presence in the Bible provides valuable insights into their role and significance within religious narratives. The term demon is derived from the Greek word daemon, which can refer to a variety of spiritual beings, including both malevolent and benevolent entities. In the Bible, demons are depicted as fallen angels or rebellious spirits who have chosen to align themselves with Satan, the embodiment of evil. Demons are mentioned in various books of the Bible, including the New Testament, where they are described as possessing individuals and causing various afflictions, such as illness and mental disturbances. These accounts demonstrate the power and influence that demons were believed to have over human lives. One of the most notable instances of demonic possession in the New Testament is the story of Jesus casting out demons from individuals. These accounts emphasize the authority of Jesus over evil forces and serve as a demonstration of his power and ability to heal. The presence of demons in these narratives also underscores the ongoing battle between good and evil, with Jesus representing the ultimate source of redemption and deliverance. The Bible portrays demons as deceptive and manipulative beings, seeking to lead people away from God and into spiritual bondage. They are often associated with temptations, particularly in the context of moral and spiritual choices. The Apostle Paul warns believers about the influence of demons and encourages them to put on the armor of God to resist their attacks. While demons are portrayed as powerful spiritual beings, the Bible also emphasizes the ultimate authority of God over them. Jesus' ministry is characterized by his ability to cast out demons and restore individuals to wholeness, demonstrating his power and triumph over evil. The understanding of demons in biblical texts has influenced religious beliefs and practices. Throughout history, various interpretations and teachings have emerged regarding the nature of demons and their influence on human lives. These interpretations often vary among different religious traditions and denominations. In contemporary society, the concept of demons continues to be a subject of interest and debate. Some interpret demons as literal spiritual entities, while others view them symbolically as representations of inner struggles, personal vices, or societal evils. The belief in demons and their influence on human lives can be found in various religious and spiritual traditions as well as in popular culture. It is important to note that the biblical portrayal of demons reflects the cultural and religious context of the time in which the texts were written. As with any aspect of religious belief, interpretations of demons should be approached with discernment and respect for diverse perspectives. In biblical literature, the devil is depicted as a powerful spiritual being who represents evil, temptation, and the ultimate adversary of God and humanity. The devil, also known as Satan or Lucifer, plays a significant role in shaping the narrative of sin, redemption, and the ongoing battle between good and evil. The origins of the devil can be traced back to various biblical texts, including the Old and New Testaments. In the book of Genesis, the devil is portrayed as a serpent who tempts Eve in the Garden of Eden, leading to the fall of humanity. This event marks the introduction of sin into the world and sets the stage for the continuous struggle between God and the forces of evil. Throughout the Bible, the devil is described as a deceiver and accuser, seeking to lead people away from God and into spiritual destruction. In the New Testament, the devil is depicted as a fallen angel who rebelled against God along with a group of other angels. The devil is known for his cunning and ability to disguise himself as an angel of light, aiming to deceive and corrupt humanity. The devil's role as a tempter is evident in various biblical accounts, such as the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness. In this story, the devil offers Jesus power and authority in exchange for his loyalty. However, Jesus resists the temptations, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to God and serving as an example of how to overcome the influence of the devil. The devil is also associated with the concept of hell, a place of punishment and separation from God. In the book of Revelation, the devil is depicted as a powerful entity who leads a final rebellion against God, only to be defeated and cast into the lake of fire. This imagery serves as a reminder of the consequences that await those who succumb to the influence of the devil and turn away from God's path. The interpretation of the devil in religious traditions varies, with some viewing the devil as a literal being, while others understand the devil as a symbolic representation of the human capacity for evil and temptation. Regardless of the interpretation, the portrayal of the devil in the Bible highlights the existence of evil in the world and the need for individuals to resist its allure. The belief in the devil has influenced religious teachings and practices throughout history. Concepts such as sin, repentance, and the need for spiritual warfare against the forces of evil are rooted in the understanding of the devil's influence. Religious communities often emphasize the importance of discernment, prayer, and moral righteousness to resist the devil's temptations and live a faithful life. Outside of religious contexts, the concept of the devil has also permeated literature, art, and popular culture. The devil is often depicted as a figure of fear, representing the embodiment of evil and the consequences of moral transgressions. These portrayals serve as cautionary tales, urging individuals to reflect on their actions and the potential consequences of aligning themselves with evil. In biblical literature, the concept of demons as fallen angels is derived from various passages that describe the rebellion and fall of certain celestial beings. While the Bible does not provide a comprehensive account of the origin and nature of demons, there are references that suggest a connection between demons and fallen angels. The belief that demons were once angels stems primarily from passages in the New Testament, particularly the book of Revelation and the teachings of Jesus. In Revelation, it is stated that a great war occurred in heaven, where the dragon, identified as Satan, and his angels fought against Michael and his angels. The dragon and his angels were defeated and cast out of heaven, and they were no longer permitted to reside in the divine realm. This event is often interpreted as the rebellion of certain angels against God, resulting in their expulsion from heaven and their transformation into demons. The fallen angels, led by Satan, are believed to have become corrupt and aligned themselves with evil, seeking to deceive and tempt humanity. Additionally, Jesus referred to Satan as the ruler of demons in several instances. For example, in Matthew, the Pharisees accused Jesus of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebul, the prince of demons. Jesus responds by saying that if Satan casts out Satan, then his kingdom is divided and cannot stand. This implies a hierarchical structure among demons with Satan as their leader. While the Bible does not provide extensive details about the origin and nature of demons, these passages suggest a connection between demons and fallen angels. It is important to note, however, that the Bible does not explicitly state that all demons were once angels. Some scholars interpret these passages as symbolic or metaphorical rather than literal, highlighting the spiritual battle between good and evil rather than presenting a detailed account of angelic rebellion. The belief in fallen angels transforming into demons has influenced religious teachings and traditions. Various religious texts and apocryphal writings provide additional details and narratives about the fall of angels and their transformation into demonic entities. These sources often expand on the characteristics and activities of demons, portraying them as malevolent beings who seek to harm and deceive humanity. The concept of fallen angels turned demons has also been depicted in artistic and literary works throughout history. These portrayals often explore the themes of temptation, sin, and the cosmic battle between good and evil. The concept of God casting out Satan is rooted in various religious traditions and scriptural texts, including Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. While interpretations may vary across different traditions, the common theme involves a cosmic struggle between good and evil, with God exercising judgment and banishing Satan from his presence. In Christianity, Satan is portrayed as a fallen angel who rebelled against God's authority in a bid for power and supremacy. His expulsion from heaven is often linked to pride and disobedience. According to Christian belief, Satan's desire for power and independence led to his downfall. The primary reason for his banishment is the inherent contradiction between his malevolent nature and the perfectly good, all-knowing, and all-powerful nature of God. Moving on to the next mystery. The sea serpent of Cape and is one of the earliest recorded accounts of a sea serpent sighting in America. In August 1639, a fishing vessel off the coast of Cape Ann, Massachusetts, reported encountering a strange and terrifying sea creature. The crew described it as a large serpent-like animal with a long, sinuous body, multiple humps, and a head that resembled a snake. The encounter stirred widespread curiosity and fear, becoming one of the first well-documented sea serpent sightings in North America. The mysterious creature has since become a part of local folklore, with many speculating about its origins and nature. According to the account, the serpent was about 40 feet long and had a head like a horse with great eyes. It also had a tapering tail and rough, scaly skin. The serpent attacked the fishing boat, wrapping its powerful body around the hull and attempting to capsize the vessel. The fishermen fought back with oars and poles, eventually driving the creature away. The incident was reported in the Massachusetts Bay Colony records, and the account of the serpent was widely circulated, sparking public fascination with sea monsters and contributing to the lore of American maritime history. The Cape and sea serpent sighting is significant not only because of its early date, but also because it was recorded in official colonial records. While numerous sea serpent sightings have been reported throughout history, some believe the creature could have been a giant oarfish. Oarfish are rare, deep-sea fish that can grow up to 36 feet long and occasionally swim near the surface, which might explain the serpent-like appearance described by witnesses. This theory suggests that the mysterious creature could have been misidentified, though the true nature of the Cape and sea serpent remains a subject of debate. Moving on to the next mystery. In 1998, 71-year-old Phyllis Harrison lived in Adelaide, Australia, where she was a well-known and active member of her community. She was part of the bowling club in the Elizabeth Grove Uniting Church. On the evening of March 2, 1998, Phyllis was last seen walking her dog at around 7:30 p.m. Tragically, the following morning, her daughter and grandson discovered her body in the kitchen of her Elizabeth South home. Phyllis had been stabbed multiple times. Although her home had been broken into, it remained unclear what, if anything, was stolen. A knife, believed to be the weapon used in the attack, was quickly found nearby. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting that Phyllis had willingly let her attacker inside. The police were initially unable to determine the motive or identify the killer but preserved the knife, hoping advancements in DNA technology might provide answers in the future. In June 2020, after 22 years, a breakthrough came when a 45-year-old man was arrested and charged in connection with Phyllis's murder. South Australian Police Assistant Commissioner Peter Harvey credited the arrest to collaboration between forensic specialists and serious crime investigators. However, legal restrictions prevented the release of the suspect's identity, with only his age and residence in Northfield revealed. When questioned about the specifics that led authorities to the suspect, Harvey confirmed that DNA evidence played a crucial role but provided no further details. It's possible that forensic experts extracted fingerprints or DNA from the knife and reanalyzed it using modern methods, though this remains speculation. Phyllis's children expressed relief that the case had progressed and that such a tragedy would not happen again. Moving on to the next mystery. Jersey Island, part of the Channel Islands in the English Channel between France and England, is a small island measuring 9 miles long and 5 miles wide. In the 1950s, it had a population of approximately 57,000. From the late 1950s to the early 1970s, the island was terrorized by a serial rapist known as the Beast of Jersey, who stalked and attacked at least 13 victims over a 14-year span. The reign of terror began in November 1957, when a young woman in the Mont El Abbé area was attacked while waiting for a bus. The assailant, with his head partially covered by a scarf, struck the woman from behind, tied a rope around her neck, and dragged her into a nearby field where he raped her. After the attack, he abandoned her at the scene. Fortunately, she was found and taken to a medical facility. In March 1958, the man struck again, this time targeting a 20-year-old woman walking home from a bus stop. Using the same method, he dragged her into a field, tied a rope around her neck, and raped her before fleeing. From 1957 to 1959, he would only prey on ladies who were close to bus stations. He assaulted a 31-year-old in July of 1958 and a 28-year-old in October of the same year. The perpetrator was characterized by all the victims as smelling musty. He increased the stakes in 1960 and started attacking people in their homes through break-ins. The man broke into a residence in St. Saveller on Valentine's Day in 1960. A man wearing a mask was seated in the 12-year-old's bedroom when he woke up. The youngster was led outside to a field by the man, who then sexually molested him while tying a rope around his neck. When a man claiming to be a doctor offered to give her a ride in March 1960 while she was waiting for her bus in St. Brelade, she accepted. The man was on his way to pick up his wife. The man attacked her as soon as she got inside the car, bound her, and blindfolded her. After that, he drove to a field close by and sexually assaulted her. The man led her back to the car, but she was able to get away and discovered a couple who lived close by. The assailant had already left when the police were called. A man broke into a secluded property in St. Martin later that month. A 43-year-old woman heard a noise while she was asleep. After switching on the lights, she downed the stairs to look around. The lights went out suddenly as soon as she got to the bottom of the stairs, and she heard movement in the living room. She attempted contacting the police on the neighboring phone, but the connection was dead. There was a cut in the phone line. Without delay, the man chased after her, threatening to kill her and demanding money. The woman's 14-year-old daughter heard the disturbance and went to investigate. After managing to get out of his grasp, the mother instructed her daughter to shut herself in her room. Running to a nearby farmhouse, the woman set off the alarm. The invader had fled before she got back, but not before raping her daughter. He broke into the bedroom of a 14-year-old girl in April. When the girl awoke, the man in the mask had been observing her while she slept. He fled as the girl cried so loudly. An 8-year-old child would be kidnapped from his house in July and brought to a field where he would be raped. After that, the assailant returned to the boy's house and dropped him off at his door. In 1961, he would attack 3 more youngsters. They were all taken from their houses, brought to a field, and sexually assaulted. After more than 3 years of operation, the police still had no leads or suspects in the Beast of Jersey case. Every man on the island was asked to provide their fingerprints, and they interviewed every man with a criminal record. 13 of them, nevertheless, declined to provide their fingerprints. One of them was, it would turn out, the assailant. The victims had stated that the attacker was approximately 40 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, and dressed in a long coat, a scarf, or a mask. Each victim described the attacker as speaking with an odd Irish dialect and having a musty smell to him. He would launch attacks from 3 a.m. until 10 p.m. Using a flashlight, he would sneak into houses through windows. Police soon discovered a break in the case. Alphonse Legator-Lewitt, a local, was taken into custody after being suspected of the rapes and attacks. Further than the fact that he was a well-known eccentric, the police had no further evidence against him. He was a recluse who enjoyed taking walks late at night. He had a raincoat, too. After 14 hours of interrogation, the individual was freed because there was insufficient proof. But the harm was already done. Vigilantes set fire to his home after his face appeared prominently in newspapers. Alphonse had to permanently depart from the island. The police decided to ask Scotland Yard for assistance as they had no leads or suspects. Scotland Yard asked residents to establish neighborhood watches and watch out for one another. After a 2-year hiatus, the Beast of Jersey reappeared in 1963. The Beast would attack once more in April 1963 when he kidnapped a 9-year-old boy and brought him to a field where he was sexually assaulted. He then went on to rape 3 more kids before going missing for 2 years in 1964. 2 years later, an anonymous letter purportedly written by the Beast of Jersey was sent to the police. "Dear Sir, I believe that now is the right time to inform you that you are wasting your time," the letter stated. "Remember, it won't end here. I promise to be fair to you and give you another chance. I've never had much in my life, but right now I want to seize every opportunity. My dream has always been to commit the ideal crime. I had already done this, but since it has to be ideal this time, I let the moon shine exceptionally brightly in September. Not 1, but 2. I enjoy to toy with you people, but I'm by no means a fanatic. Before September, you will hear from me, and I'll give you all the hints you need to try to figure out how to capture me. Sincerely yours, just wait and see." A 15-year-old girl would be kidnapped and sexually assaulted in August. But the crime was different this time. The girl's body was covered in lengthy scratches that were evenly spaced out in parallel rows. After this, there would be no attacks for 4 years. August 1970 would see the Beast return. A 14-year-old would be taken from his house and sexually assaulted. The boy reported to the police that the assailant had on a mask. Luckily, the beast would never put on the mask again, and this would be the last attack. An automobile ran a red light directly in front of two police officers who were on duty in Center on July 10, 1970, at approximately 11:45 p.m. The officers pursued the automobile because it was being driven erratically. After running down the sidewalk and into a tomato field, the driver ran onto the wrong side of the road, sideswiped several vehicles, and eventually struck a hedge. The motorist attempted to run away, but because the officers were European, they rugby tackled him and took him into custody. The police station was where he was brought. They were able to see the man well under the police station's lights and saw that he was not your typical irresponsible driver. The man had been wearing a long dark coat with shoulder pads, cuffs, and collar protruding from it, along with 1-inch long nails and screws. There was a musty smell about the long coat. The man's socks were tucked into his ancient pants. Police discovered 2 lengths of rope, a woolen cap, empty cigarette packages, a roll of adhesive tape, and a flashlight with tape over most of the bulb, creating a regulated, narrow beam of light within his pockets. Police discovered a mask and a spiky black-haired wig inside his car. The man's face bore tape markings identical to the mask's tape, indicating that he had worn it not long ago. Edward Pinnell was recognized as the man. He said he was headed to a sex party and that he had nails through his clothes in case someone there knew martial arts when the cops questioned him. Police discovered an extremely foul-smelling hidden area in his house that was packed with worn-out clothes and homemade wigs. In addition, they discovered a sword, pictures of nearby homes, and an altar full of books about black magic and the occult. In 1925, Edward Pinnell was born. He was incarcerated as a teenager for stealing food to feed families that were going hungry. Other than that, he had no criminal past. He was a construction worker with a spouse and kids. According to his wife Joan, he used to visit her foster home for children disguised as Santa Claus in an attempt to provide festive pleasure. She recalled that the children referred to him as Uncle Ted. His wife claimed she was unaware of his actions throughout their marriage, stating that Pinnell showed no interest in sex and that they mostly lived separate lives. At the time of his arrest, Pinnell was also involved with someone else. His trial began on November 29, 1971. The jury took less than 48 minutes to convict him on 13 charges, including rape, sexual assault, and sodomy, involving 6 of his victims. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In 1991, Pinnell was granted parole for good behavior and was released from prison in 1994. Moving on to the next mystery. Jacques Michenot, his wife Pierrette, and their 2 sons, Eric and Bruno, left their home in the French commune of Boutiers, Saint-Georges, on December 24, 1972, to celebrate Christmas Eve with Jacques' friend in Cognac. Jacques and his friend worked together at the Saint-Gobain glass factory in Chateau Bernard, and their families were close. The evening was enjoyable, filled with dinner and games that lasted well into the night. The Michenot family departed around 2 a.m., heading home in their maroon Simca 1100. With only 3 kilometers separating the 2 homes, their return should have taken no more than 10 minutes. However, they never made it back. It was as though they vanished into thin air. A week later, Jacques' parents filed a missing persons report after hearing nothing from them. When police searched the Michenot residence, they found the Christmas tree still adorned with wrapped gifts for the children. In the refrigerator, they discovered spoiled oysters and turkey. The checkbook, which was left on the coffee table and suggests the family never came back, was among all of their possessions that were left at the residence. Authorities conducted a thorough search. The night the family vanished, a heavy fog had descended upon the town, making vision difficult. Police thought the car might have swerved and crashed into the sea because of the weather. Divers explored every river and pond in the area in great detail. Police and volunteers conducted a thorough on-foot search without success, while helicopters scanned the surrounding region for any indication of the vehicle or tar footprints. Shortly after the search was concluded, there was a word that Pierrette, Jacques' wife, was having an affair and was considering divorcing him. Jacques' brother attested to the fact that his brother had disclosed the affair to both him and a colleague. Nevertheless, there's no proof that this is connected to their disappearance. The family appeared content, and nothing about their actions on Christmas Eve looked out of the ordinary, according to Jack's friend in Cognac. The day before their disappearance, the Michinot family had gone shopping together. In 2011, sonar equipment was used to search the Charente River, and several kilometers of the river were dredged. Extensive excavations were also carried out in Cognac and the surrounding areas, but no trace of the family was found. In 2012, human remains belonging to an adult and a child were discovered near the edge of Courcerac Woods, about 20 miles from Boutiers. However, DNA testing confirmed that the remains did not belong to the Michinot family. In 2013, a maroon Simca 1100, identical to the Michinot's car, was found in the Charente River, roughly 50 kilometers from Boutiers. However, after reviewing the vehicle's registration and license plate, it was confirmed that the car did not belong to the Michinot family. Since then, there have been no further developments in the case, which remains open and unresolved. Moving on to the next mystery. On May 11, 1986, Kimberly and Morrow decided to skip her high school junior prom after an argument with her boyfriend. Instead, she went out with a female friend and later met up with two male acquaintances, both 25 years old. Around 11 p.m., Kimberly stopped by her sister's house, promising to return within an hour. Shortly after, she was seen getting into a late-model white Pontiac Trans Am with one of the men. When she left home that evening, she didn't take any personal belongings, such as her purse or makeup. Reports suggest that Kimberly and the group attended a teen drinking party. Later, her companion, Brian Inman, told authorities that he dropped her off at approximately 3:45 a.m. the following morning. He claimed Kimberly asked to be let out of the car on Jewel Street, about half a mile from her home, as she was still upset over her fight with her boyfriend. Allegedly, she said she wanted to walk the rest of the way alone to clear her head. From that moment on, Kimberly disappeared without a trace. Despite suspicions of foul play, no one was prosecuted for her disappearance. For years, this cold case remained unopened. However, in August 2015, police, seemingly armed with fresh information, searched some of Inman's property. Nothing was found despite the use of cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar in the hunt. In September 2015, a YouTube channel named 00B4A56 emerged in light of the latest developments in the case. There were a total of 12 videos uploaded there. Some of the videos appeared to be authentic 1986 VHS recordings, seemingly documenting preparations for a crime on May 10, 1986. Other videos contained disturbing content and included small coded messages, many in ASCII format. When deciphered, the statement in the YouTube channel's About section read, * trying my hardest to cover up my tracks and revealing things to clear my conscience. * one of the video codes translated to a message that said something along the lines of, * think it's safe to come out now. Had to move. I have to use my videos more wisely. They'll track me down. * The description of another video chillingly stated, * I've had her since May 10, 1986. Whether these cryptic uploads were part of an elaborate prank or connected to Kimberly's disappearance remains unclear. The mystery deepened when the channel disappeared, and all the videos were taken down, leaving no definitive answers. Moving on to the next mystery. From the moment James Rabbit stepped into his office on August 4, 1981, he sensed something was wrong. The air conditioning and lights were on, the radio was playing, and his desk, along with those of the other attorneys, was prepped for the day ahead. Yet, his 20-year-old legal secretary, Cynthia Jane Anderson, known as Cindy, was nowhere to be found. Cindy's family described her as a kind, intelligent young woman. Cindy lived and worked in Ohio and was a devout Christian fundamentalist, like the rest of her family. While she was known to enjoy her job at the East Manhattan Boulevard legal offices of James Rabbit and Jay Feldstein, she had plans to leave in 2 weeks to attend Bible college with her new partner. Her sudden and unexplained disappearance was highly unusual and out of character. When Cindy vanished, she left no note to explain her absence or to indicate she had stepped out for errands. Her keys and handbag were missing, but her car remained parked in the same spot in the lot, a detail authorities quickly discovered during their investigation. Her romance novel, which was open on her desk, was another item she had forgotten. Upon reviewing Cindy's finances, investigators found that she'd left a substantial sum of money behind in her account. Since her disappearance, neither her social security number nor her bank accounts have been used. After talking to her parents, Cindy's father observed that, while it might be because she has a new boyfriend, Cindy has been paying close attention to her appearance lately. Additionally, he mentioned that she had been missing breakfast most mornings. These were not inherently alarming, even though they might be interpreted as odds. But more alarming information was on the verge of being revealed. Law enforcement conducted inquiries and found a number of odd and unsettling bits of information. First of all, they discovered that Cindy had been experiencing a recurrent nightmare for the previous year in which a man abducted and attacked her. In addition to this, she had been receiving strange calls at work, which worried her a lot. Authorities were informed by a coworker at her place of employment that the 20-year-old had received an upsetting phone call the day before she vanished. Cindy clarified that this wasn't the only troubling call she'd gotten when asked what was wrong. She received 2 calls from the unidentified caller while her coworker was there. An emergency buzzer had been set at Cindy's desk by her employees earlier that year. And because of the call she was getting and the nightmares she was having, she had become very meticulous about making sure the office door was closed at all times. The investigators found the crime scene to be perplexing. There was no forced entrance, and the office did not exhibit any symptoms of commotion, despite the fact that they had some alarming information to go off. After 10 a.m., no calls were returned, indicating that Cindy may have experienced anything at this time. An unidentified man wrote, "I love you, Cindy," by G.W. on a wall close to her place of employment, providing another clue in the case. A decade prior to disappearing, the 20-year-old had spotted the writing. Before it was covered up, it was there for 6 months. However, it returned a few weeks later. It makes sense that Cindy would have been deeply troubled by this. When the police investigated and cleared numerous mails with the initials GW, including a building maintenance worker, it was first unclear if the writing had anything to do with her abduction. Nevertheless, the author has subsequently been discovered and is thought to be unrelated to Cindy's disappearance. He allegedly composed the note for Cindy, a different woman. Then, in September 1981, a disturbing anonymous tip led law enforcement to believe Cindy was being held against her will. The caller, who was frightened and wouldn't provide her name, informed the authorities that the 20-year-old was being held in a White House's basement and that the same family owned 2 adjacent houses. Cindy was allegedly being held captive by their son, who had stayed behind while the family was on vacation. When the investigator on the other end pushed the caller for more details, she hung up and refused to provide an address. She did return the call after a few months, but when another law enforcement officer tried to listen in on the conversation, she hung up again. Since then, the anonymous tipper has not returned calls, and it is unclear whether or not the tip was legitimate. It appears that the houses she mentioned were never found by the authorities. Just one more enigmatic call in an already excessively lengthy string of them. The reports that Cindy's romance novel was left open at a page when an abduction was occurring in the plot are among the most talked about aspects of this case. It seems to be the sole violent confrontation in the novel. While some believe that this is a clue that was purposefully left out, others have questioned how plausible it is that Cindy simply happened to be on that page on the day that she disappeared. The likelihood that she turned the right page before being kidnapped is substantially lower. Nobody can investigate for themselves what this could mean because the book has never been mentioned in reports. Some web sleuths think it's a clue left by an abduction, while many others think it's just a red herring. In Cindy's case, there have been a number of suspects throughout the years, and none of them have ever been formally ruled out. Though they have consistently denied being connected to this crime, 2 convicted murderers, Anthony and Nathaniel Cook, who killed 9 people between them in Ohio between the years of 1988 and 1989, have long been suspected of being involved. It is also believed that another convicted murderer, who has not been identified and is incarcerated in Ohio, was engaged in the case. But there has never been any solid evidence linking this individual to Cindy. The theory involving Richard Neller, a lawyer at the business Cindy worked for, is among the more convincing ones. He represented Jose Rodriguez Jr., a drug dealer. The police conjectured that Cindy might have heard the 2 talking about Jose's illegal conduct and was silenced as a result. During Jose's 1995 trial, an informant gave testimony stating that he had admitted to killing the 20-year-olds. Nevertheless, the testimony was found to be untrustworthy. Jose and Richard were later found guilty of narcotics offenses and sentenced to prison. It should be mentioned that 9 individuals were charged with drug trafficking not long after Cindy vanished. Authorities have suspicions that one or more of them may have knowledge regarding the disappearance. However, no fresh leads in the case have surfaced as of yet. There isn't much conjecture beyond these theories. The majority of fans of real crime speculate that Cindy might have departed on her own initiative. They came at this conclusion by pointing out that the 20-year-old purposefully left the book behind, that there were no evidence of a struggle, and that the office doors were shut that morning. Although some people find solace in this belief, others have challenged it. They draw attention to the fact that her bank account remained unopened, and she seemed to have very little to no money on her person. If Cindy fled to start a new life, she would have needed connections to help her obtain a new social security number and a significant amount of money. Another theory suggests that Cindy may have suffered from an undiagnosed mental disorder, leading to severe paranoia. This has sparked debates online, with some questioning whether her disappearance was the result of her own anxiety and potential illness or if she was truly receiving threatening phone calls. Cindy's parents never moved or changed their phone numbers, hoping she might reach out. Tragically, her mother passed away in 1983, just 2 years after her disappearance, and her father died in 2008. If Cindy is still alive today, she would be 69 years old. Moving on to the next mystery. Stephen Twamey was born and raised in Ontonagon, located in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Tragically, he passed away at the young age of 25. He worked as a short-order cook in a Milwaukee restaurant and was well regarded as an artistic and sociable young man. A classmate, Priscilla Marley Chenoweth, fondly recalled, "I remember being in art class with him, and he made this beautiful lead-stained glass lamp." She described it as just lovely and noted his remarkable talent for almost any artistic endeavor. 9 years after the murder of Stephen Hicks, on November 20th, 1987, Jeffrey Dahmer encountered Stephen Twamey at a bar and convinced him to join him at the Milwaukee Ambassador Hotel, where Dahmer had reserved a room for the night. At the time, Dahmer was living with his grandmother in West Allis. According to Dahmer, his intention wasn't to kill Twamey, but rather to drug him and lie beside him while exploring his unconscious body. However, the following morning, Dahmer awoke to find Twamey lying beneath him on the bed, his chest crushed and wounded, with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Dahmer's fists and one forearm had significant bruises when he checked himself, realizing that he had killed Twamey by beating him as a result. Dahmer stated he didn't remember killing Twamey. Later on, he informed detectives he was in shock that it had really happened. Dahmer purchased a sizable suitcase and transported Twamey's body to his grandmother's residence in order to dispose of it. After dismembering his victim, Jeffrey Dahmer removed the head, limbs, and legs from the torso and extracted the bones. A week later, he diced the flesh into small pieces and placed the remains in disposable garbage bags. He wrapped the bones in a sheet and used a sledgehammer to crush them into fragments. The entire dismemberment process took Dahmer about 2 hours. Except for the head, Dahmer discarded every part of Twamey's body in the trash. In the aftermath of Twamey's death, Dahmer kept the victim's head covered with a blanket for 2 weeks. He later attempted to preserve the skull by soaking it in a mixture of bleach and Soilax, an industrial alkali-based detergent. Dahmer admitted to using the skull as an object for sexual stimulation. However, the bleaching process eventually made the skull too brittle, prompting Dahmer to crush it and dispose of it. Although Dahmer confessed to Twamey's murder, he was not formally charged due to a lack of sufficient evidence. When Twamey's family reported him missing 3 months after his disappearance, his father, Walter, recalled that Milwaukee police informed them they could not assist because there was no indication of foul play. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring these intriguing unsolved mysteries with me. If you found the video fascinating, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Unsolved Mystique for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries. Your support helps me bring you more compelling content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or any mysteries you'd like me to cover next. See you in the next video.